What's up, PHP community? Happy to see everyone in another live stream. What's up, everyone? Phoebe, what's up? Circlix, how you doing? Mike, of course, the first one. Nice to see you too. Suyal, how you doing, man? Where are you from, man? How you doing? CVT Mal, of course. Diabel with a tier 1 subscription on Twitch. 9 months already, supporting since day one. Feels good to be here. How everyone is feeling today? CVT Mal is asking if I have paint on my wall. I have not. Why? Why do you think that? Jesus, what's up, dude? Nice to see you. Rivad, nice to see you too. Dimitri, what's up, man? Nice to see you as well. How everyone is feeling today? How the week is going for everyone? I'm having a nice week of PHP and Laravel development, of course. So I'm doing fantastic. And of course, went to the gym today. You guys know how it is. You guys know. The white screen of Doom probably on Scream. What do you mean? I don't get it. That is basically some... I'm trying to play a little bit with the coloring on the camera, so it might be that. I don't know. Ken is asking, hi Nuno, can you suggest some Laravel learning resources? Of course, dude, you should check. You should check Laracas, okay? Laracas is literally the best place to learn PHP and Laravel development in 2025, so you should absolutely go there. Guillermo is saying the following, hey Nuno, how you doing? Random question, how long have been doing gym and everything? So, you know, I always have been like a very sports person. However, 2 years ago, I actually got a big injury on my knee and I had to stop for a bit, but now I'm back and feeling in shape, feeling super good. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Laracas for the win. I agree, Mike. Drip in Castle. How you doing? Nice to see you. Okay, chat. Today, we are going to talk about a very important topic, and I do need your help about this, okay? I do need your help. Today, we are going to dive into the state of Laravel in 2025, okay? We are going to see a lot of stats. What is important, what is not important. We are going to dive into everything today, okay? If you don't know what is the state of Laravel, is this every year basically, Tobias Petri, which is a member of the Laravel community, does this survey, which basically makes a bunch of questions to the Laravel community, and we have real stats here, okay? We know exactly who is testing, who is not testing, who is using PHPStorm, who is not using PHPStorm. We can see everything on this survey. And today we are going to understand the current state of Laravel in 2025. So if you guys are ready, just write on the chat, I am ready, because I am ready. Before we jump into that, I do have to say, thank you so much for the phenomenal support I had on my Avenue live stream. It was kind of crazy to see so many of you on that live stream. We hit like 250 concurrent viewers. That's insane. I never thought I would, have more than 10 people watching my channel and see more than 200 people watching me live, interviewing Avenue on my channel. It just feels unrealistic. I never thought I would actually have someone as important as Avenue on my channel. And that's thanks to you all, okay? That's thanks to you all who literally support my work since day one. And Defnul, thank you so much for the subscription on Twitch, tier 1, 6 months in advance. You are so cool, man. Thank you for supporting my work, dude. I really appreciate that. Psycho also subscribing with Prime, 4 months already. Appreciate. Charlie French Boy and Diabel are ready. Of course they are. I'm always ready too. Drippin Castle is saying, I am ready for database, folks. Check out good in indexes. Oh, interesting. Thanks for the resource, dude. Appreciate that. Dimitri ready too. Okay, so what we have to talk about, chat? What we have to talk about? We have to talk about the Avenue interview on my channel now. So if you guys haven't checked this already, check that out. Okay, it's a great interview. And of course, with Avenue, a great community member too. Here we go, chat. Here we go. Put your like, your comment, and, if you enjoyed the video, subscribe my channel too. What else do I have to talk about? Pest 4.1. Pest 4.1 just came out. And if you guys love browser testing on Pest 4, we are introducing new features into this release, okay? The very first one is that you can literally now configure the visit location, time zone, and locale too. You just have to type from New York, and bam, you get the locale from New York, the time zone, and the geolocation too. As easy as that. You can test iframes as well if you want to with Pest v4 now. Accessibility is now stable, so if you want to check if your website is accessible, and the only thing you have to do is type assert no accessibility issues, and bam, it just works. We also are introducing assert no broken images. So if you want to test if your website doesn't have any broken images, it really just works. And we have a few more things like with user agent, resize, type slowly, right click, and much more. If you are using Pest v4, write on the chat. I want to know how many of you are leveraging the best testing framework in the world, chat. In the world. So that's Pest v4. If you are Portuguese, I'm looking for a company willing to host a meetup in the north of Portugal. So if you are from Porto, Guimarães, Braga, or whatever, let me know on the chat so I can literally host a meetup over there, maybe in your company. okay? Maybe in your company. What else do we have to talk about? So we have that, the state of Laravel. Yeah, let's talk about the sponsors, of course. We couldn't do this live stream without our precious sponsors, Devin.ai, the software engineer, PHPStorm, of course, and JetBrains, Laracast, the best place to learn Laravel and PHP development, CodeRabbit AI, which we are going to explore next week. Okay, next week we're going to explore this tool and how it behaves with Laravel. And finally, Redberry, the best agents for Laravel in Vue development. That being said, chat, today the plan is check the state of Laravel in 2025. So I have this. I have Reddit open. We are going to check Reddit too to see, to see what people are saying about the state of Laravel on Reddit. Reddit is always a good place to check good opinions. We always find, anonymous people behind the keyboard saying shit about us. It's so cool. So we are going to check Reddit too. And that being said, let's get started. Okay, let's get started, chat. Suyal is saying, working with Pest right now, and I'm amazed by how awesome it is. Thank you. I feel like Pest is in a real good state at the moment, okay? It's definitely in a very good state at the moment, okay? Dbel is saying the following. I just want to add that accessibility is making a website accessible for an impaired user. Yeah, it's basically making sure your website can be used no matter if the user has any problem, you know what I mean? Either that be vision or audition or anything else, that assertion will make sure your website is still accessible. You know what I mean? That's what it is, chat. That's what it is. Okay, let's jump into this. Introduction. Laravel was created more than 10 years ago, and today is the most popular PHP framework used by thousands of developers every day. The emerged ecosystem around Laravel is huge, and the new trends are popping all the time. The early state of Laravel surveys attempt to gain insights into the representation of the diverse technologies and behaviors of the on-stand community. Bam, bam, boom. The results obtained can be viewed directly in this report and filtered and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. This survey is basically, made possible by Tobias, so thank you, Tobias, for this. And let's get started. The first thing we see is the number of participants, which have kind of decreased a little bit. And I don't know if they are decreasing because there is less people. I think actually, I'm going to tell you, I think this survey is kind of going a little bit below the expectations in terms of people answering because of how Twitter works now. The Twitter algorithm is much different than before, meaning that in the past, the Twitter algorithm wouldn't demonetize, not demonetize, but it wouldn't kind of penalize links on tweets, and basically you would see a following straight timeline, and now it's much more about the content that is for you, okay? So, they will give you controversial content or content that is, a hot topic, for example. They won't give you a link for a survey, So it's just the way that Twitter works now. It's a little bit different than usual from the past years at least. But we still have 3,000 people answering this survey. So hopefully we have very good, and I mean very good insights about the Laravel community. Developer profile, so we get to see if we have male, female, or preferred not answer, or non-binary third gender. And of course, mainly this industry is, used by male developers. This doesn't surprise me at all. I wish it could be a little bit different. I know Laravel is doing a great job trying to, make Laravel more accessible for other people too. But yeah, that's the way it is. Let's go all the way down. Let's see the location. Which continent are you living on? So most of the answers came from Europe. We have a few people coming from Asia, North America, South America, of course. But let's go all the way down. Years of experience. And this one is kind of when things get interesting, in the sense that we get to see exactly, the type of developers we actually have on the Laravel community, okay? Hey, Luis, nice to see you, dude. Congratulations on the contribution to Pest V4. Agent, welcome to the live stream, and thank you so much for the 7 months subscription on Prime. I really appreciate that, dude. I really, really appreciate that. Marco is saying that he uses WebStorm. What is that? Oh, you mean WebStorm? I think you meant WebStorm, okay? So let's see. Laravel is being used, or mostly the people who have answered this form, is being used by people between 5 and 20 years of experience. Okay, I'm a little bit surprised by this, but at the same time, I must be honest. I think this survey only reaches people who are on Twitter. Comes to the same question, chat. I think like Twitter is literally a social media for old people. I don't think the new generation of developers is literally on Twitter at the moment. That's why I'm trying to fight this a little bit. You guys see me on TikTok now. You see me on Instagram. You see me on even on Snapchat. I'm literally on those socials a lot. And the reason behind that, it's because this young generation of developers, they simply don't have Twitter. They don't have Blue Sky either. I can tell you that, okay? And for that reason, I feel like probably we are missing a lot of Laravel developers who are simply not answering this survey, okay? Okay. Chris is saying the following. This survey also reflects the fact that the market is very difficult for new devs. Chat, I'm going to be honest with you, chat. I don't know what you guys think, but I do think that AI will have a huge impact on this new generation of developers. A huge impact. In the sense that back in the days, in my days, probably your days too, when you guys start with programming, you don't have AI like literally generating the entire code. You know, you literally have to learn things by doing mistakes. And today, I can tell you this, a lot of this younger generation, they just prompt AIs. They simply only prompt AIs. They don't even care about generated code. So they don't actually learn it, okay? And I think the market is indeed a new reflection on that, because also much of the work that was done by juniors is now being made by agents. Okay, meaning that the agents can actually do that boring things that typically a junior would jump in to do. Okay, 221902. I really appreciate 5 gifted subs on Twitch. Tier 1. I really appreciate your support, dude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Undefinitely saying the following. Old people use Twitter. That's true. I never use a TikTok or Snapchat, dude. It's just the way it is, man. We just have to, at least I do my job on TikTok, for example. If you guys go to my TikTok, dude, this is crazy. I have a TikTok short with 100K views with fucking 1,000 likes that is about PHP. A TikTok about PHP. And they love it, honestly. You can see the younger generation literally enjoying PHP content. But if we go on those platforms, they simply don't see it. They simply don't see it, okay? NC is saying the following. So true that juniors will have a rough time to getting started. Dude, yeah, man, I feel for them, honestly. I feel for them because they feel like if they don't use AI, the others will cheat, which they will. Everyone will be using AI at this point. But you kind of have to learn at the same time, You kind of have to learn at the same time. Simon Z is saying the following. This survey should have been sponsored by Laravel and advertised on Laravel official documentation. Well, it's on Laravel News, so I think that's just the best place to be, Mazatec is saying the following. I agree that AI has a big impact. I had to use Stack Overflow in Google to learn the hard way. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Honestly, me the same. Stack Overflow. Literally making questions on forums. I still remember, man. I still remember making questions on forums. That's how old I am, man. Mike Stock is saying the following. You are 100% spot on, Nuno. Coding skills are slowly dying. Yeah, unfortunately. But you guys can leverage this. You guys can just keep learning, and eventually you will pass the lazy developers who don't trust, in their capacities of learning, who don't want to learn, basically. So always keep this in mind, Instead of literally asking AI to generate something and do nothing, like doing, just go to YouTube, watch shorts or whatever. Just keep learning, you know what I mean? Keep learning. Robin is saying the following. Composer did not exist when I started PHP. Well, I'm not from that back in the PHP world. Oh my God. Hey, 221902, I really appreciate the sub, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Dibal is saying the following. I am in the middle. I don't get TikTok, but too young for Twitter. I feel you, dude. I totally feel you, man. Oh yeah, jQuery was the blast. So basically we have about 1% of the developers actually using Laravel with less than 1 year of experience. Then it kind of grows a little bit, but it's decreasing. You can see more and more that the younger generation is kind of, using Laravel less and less. And again, I don't think it's because it's a fact. I think it's because of, of Twitter, basically. This survey didn't reach the younger generation. That's it. Okay? Maybe we could do a better job next year and sharing this survey on TikTok, Snapchat, and all those socials that are used by the younger generation. Okay, chat? What else do we see? We also see, again, developers with more than 20 years of experience also using a little bit more Laravel than last year. Kind of not surprised about that. But mainly, we also see that only people, let's say, mostly the users of Laravel are people with 5 or more years of experience, which doesn't surprise me either, okay? Phantom20411 from Kik is saying that he's joining the live stream. Thank you from Kik. AJ is saying the following: global is not a Laravel context facade. Nisotech is saying the following: my boss had to write the network drivers for Linux. That's crazy, dude. That's crazy, man. All right, years of experience, okay? How long have you been working with Laravel framework or learning it? Ooh, interesting. So most of the, again, this is literally reflects what I was saying, that, a lot of the people who have answered are not people with little experience in Laravel, but mostly people who have more experience. So here again, most of the people who have answered have like 5 or to 10 years of experience with Laravel, which does not surprise me again. This goes alongside the very first question, meaning that this survey is kind of reaching people with 5 to 20 years of experience with Laravel, and not the younger generation again. Open source contributions. Now, this is an important one. Chad. We see that about 60% of the people do not contribute to open source. 60% of the people who have answered this survey, do not contribute to open source. Okay? And I told you this multiple times, Chad. Contributing to open source is something that is super important in your career. Okay? Most of you, if not, many of you, are basically a little bit shy of contributing to open source, but it's such a natural and easy thing to do. You can start with documentation, you can start with code. You can just literally upload your own project to your GitHub account and make it public. It's such an easy portfolio to do, Chad. Honestly, I think if I was a recruiter, I'm gonna be honest. If I was a recruiter, I think this is the best portfolio you can have. Okay, a nice GitHub account with a nice selective 6 repos you have actively contributed to, a nice green stat here below. This is literally the best portfolio, the best CV you can deliver when you are looking for a better job. Okay, this speaks for itself. If you are active on open source, if you just upload everything you do and make it public, if you can, of course, this is the best CV you can give when you are looking for a better job. Okay, this is the first thing I check when I'm about to hire someone. Okay, and if I see an empty GitHub account, I don't know, man. I'm a little bit like, okay, probably will have to dive a little bit more into this person. However, if I see a full GitHub account with a lot of activity, I immediately understand that this guy is a cool dude. You know what I mean? Diabella is saying that the guy on the left, meaning me, stares into my eyes, and now I feel pressured to contribute. Oh my god. Mike Scott is saying that I'm that I think I'm an old man, but I'm a young man. Oh my god. Hey PFL, how you doing? Zia is saying the following: hi, I'm a Symfony developer with 3+ years of experience, and this I also has to change for Laravel. Interesting. Robin is saying that his GitHub account at the moment says 1 contribution in the last year. Dude, you can still fix that. You can still fix that. Just allocate It's as simple as this. Just allocate 1 hour per week. 1 hour per week, potentially Saturday morning while the family is still sleeping, just to make a nice 1 or 2 contributions to the open source. That will basically just make your GitHub account shine so much on the lights of all the recruiters. You know what I mean? Alba Dark Nectos is saying the following on Twitch. I think that it's job of the universities to get young devs up and running. Let me tell you something, man. Universities, I don't know how universities are in your country, but I can tell you how they are in my country. And, do you want to talk about this? Maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah, let's just not talk about this. But, yeah, universities maybe not the best. Well, yeah, let's not talk about this. But, yeah, anyways. Agent is saying the following. I'm hold because back in the days, I didn't slide into Instagram DMs. We didn't send the rows. Oh my god, I remember that, dude. Oh my god. Robin is saying that he's running his own SaaS company, consulting full time, and don't really have the time for contributions. Oh no. But yeah, 1 hour, 1 hour a week is super doable. Of course, of course. Guillermo is saying that he's from Argentina, and I think he understands my silence about universities. Yeah, unfortunately, I kind of wish universities in general, they would invest in high qualified people to teach computer science, Like only the best of the best should actually be teaching on universities. And that's not what's happening today. In Portugal, at least, most of the universities are public, meaning that they try to optimize a little bit salaries, and then of course the best of the best, they just run away to the private sector basically. So you kind of you get taught by people who don't have experience on the field anymore, or basically anyways. Yeah, primary operating system. Chat, right on the chat. Which operating system are you using today? I'm using macOS, and apparently 50% of the Laravel developers are using macOS too. 50% of the developers are using macOS. A bunch of them, apparently, they have shifted to the Windows operating system, which does not surprise me, Chad. The Windows operating system have kind of became a little bit better over time. So this is not a surprise. We see a small jump on the Linux operating system, which potentially is people using Omarchy. Have you guys seen that? Have you guys seen Omarchy from DHH? Here we go. Have you guys seen this thing? Apparently is the operating system every single developer is using at the moment on the Rails world. I have literally no idea. Let's see. A lot of people here on the chat are using Ubuntu, Linux, Windows, Mac OS. Ooh, interesting. Temple OS. What is even Temple OS? I have literally no idea, besides guessing that is a Linux distribution, I would say. Okay, you shitting on me at the moment. What is this? I have no idea. It's a meme OS. Oh, absolutely. But yeah, what we can see about the operating system, chat, we can see that most of the Laravel developers are using Mac OS. No surprise there. A bunch of them are also using Windows, 30%, and there is a small jump on Windows. Okay, we see a small decrease on Mac OS and a small jump on Windows. The Linux kind of stabilized a little bit with 20%, and other people are using something else, which I have no idea what it is. We have about 0.15% of people using something, which I have no idea what it is. Yeah, maybe. I have no idea, man. Omarchy? Well, Omarchy would be in a Linux section. Omarchy would be on a Linux section. Divillian is saying, I use Omarchy, is really a wild ride. Oh, really? Why is that? I've tried Omarchy on virtual machine. It is a wild ride. I also agree. Like the installation didn't really work at first, so I had to do some, some things to fix it, the Wi-Fi and shit like that. But after a while, it kind of booted and it was working. But yeah, not having a mouse is kind of, I don't know. Plus that, yeah, as Mizuteka is saying, my problem with Linux for development is that it breaks every 2 weeks. Plus that, chat. Like, I'm a public speaker, so I go to conferences, I do streaming, I cannot leverage or I cannot be at risk all the time with Linux. Imagine going to a conference, you just put HDMI, it doesn't work. That would be a problem, right? Or potentially, there is an update on Streamlabs that literally breaks my Linux or usage or whatever. I cannot leverage that. Agent is saying Linux is stable as fuck. It might be stable, but the apps running on Linux sometimes are not. And something you cannot say about macOS is not being stable, because macOS is the most stable operating system I have ever used. Okay, it is, chat, it is. Primary code editor. Wait, what? We see a decrease on PHPStorm. This is crazy, but I may have an explanation for this. Okay, I may have an explanation for this. Okay, so I think honestly that PHPStorm for PHP development is the best operating system. By the way, chat, write on the chat which editor are you using at the moment, chat. But I do think that for PHP and Laravel development, PHPStorm is just the best at the moment, is the GOAT. And I think many of you agree on that. However, many applications today, they simply have a lot of JavaScript. Okay, they simply have a lot of JavaScript. And for JavaScript, VS Code is indeed good too. So maybe a lot of the Laravel developers we see today, they probably spend more than 50% of their time doing JavaScript, because there is literally a lot of JavaScript in their projects. So I think it's because of that. Okay, I think it's because of that. But let's see what people think. Oh, so a lot of you are using VS Code, a lot of you using PHPStorm too, which kind of does a 50% split. Nobody said NeoVim here. Why nobody said NeoVim? That's interesting. Dan Th2 says NeoVim is the best, by the way. Ho, ho, ho. There is also the question of the pricing, of course. VS Code is free, PHPStorm is paid, so I get you. I think PHPStorm also spent a lot of time without Junie, which made probably a lot of people trying Cursor and things like that and being instincted into it. Let's see if Cursor is here on this list. That's a good point. So Cursor is not on this list, meaning that all the Cursor AI editor guys literally voted on VS Code. So I think it might be it. So VS Code here literally represents VS Code itself plus Cursor, Windsurf, and all those editors. Okay, but PHPStorm is still strong, the most used editor in the PHP Laravel community, which is not a surprise. Only 1% using Vim. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna be honest, every time I see a developer using Vim, it's badass. It's badass. I can tell you right there. PHPStorm doesn't have a good AI. Why do you say that? I'm using Junie, it just works really good. Yeah, the PHPStorm license is that you can actually use PHPStorm for, not private projects, but for learning, programming, or if you are streaming, you can use PHPStorm 2 for free. But if you use PHPStorm on the private company, you kind of have to pay for a license, indeed. That's the way it goes. 1% using Vim, Sublime Text is dying. Oh no. Poor Sublime Text. You serve us so well for so many years, but it's kind of dying. My poor PHPStorm, my poor Sublime Text. Dude, Sublime Text is the GOAT, okay? I know, PHPStorm is better at the moment, but Sublime Text, it was kind of my very first love, okay? Reap Sublime Text indeed, man. Reap Sublime Text because it was it was such a story that I have with Sublime Text. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh yeah, I loved Sublime Text. Such a beast. Notepad++, I would think, yeah, it didn't even came alive. Only like 0.2% are using Notepad. Atom is dying too. There is people using something else. I think many of the people who have voted VS Code were cursor users, but maybe some of them voted on others, which might be that. Okay. Ooh, interesting. Other programming languages Laravel developers are using. Many of them. So I don't get why they make this split. Why would you split TypeScript in JavaScript? I don't know. Or maybe you can vote multiple ones. So, 85% of the people are using JavaScript, but half of them are using JavaScript combined with TypeScript. Do you guys use TypeScript, by the way? Write on the chat if you prefer TypeScript or JavaScript. Just type one of them. I feel like if you want to do good JavaScript, you probably should go with TypeScript. That is just my opinion. So you'd be able to use types, but I don't know. Okay, Adrian answered, JavaScript easy. I don't get you, dude. I don't get you. You are the guy with, types and everything, and now you are telling me JavaScript? That's completely bullshit, That's bullshit. You see, all the YouTube chat literally saying TypeScript. Why Twitch chat should go for JavaScript? I don't get that. I honestly don't get that. Oh yeah, TypeScript, 100% sure. Honestly, if you are doing modern JavaScript development, just go with TypeScript. There is absolutely no reason to go with JavaScript, okay? Unless you enjoy being unsafe, unless you enjoy, just literally having your code being broken all the time, there is no reason why you would go with JavaScript without TypeScript. I don't know. And plus, yeah, AI would probably help a lot with TypeScript at the moment. Adrian uses Alpine.js, that's why. We got to have Adrian on this stream chat. What do you guys think? Should we have Adrian coming to the stream? Write on the chat Adrian if you want to see Adrian on the live stream. And we need to get Adrian right here. A lot of people using Python probably because of AI reasons, okay? A lot of these AI libraries are built on top of Python. So probably that's why Python is growing so much. A lot of people using Go. This is something that it doesn't surprise me too. Go is very versatile and very good actually for building HTTP APIs, so it does not surprise me. Java is decreasing. And for this reason, let's clap this survey because people are making the correct choices, Java decreasing, of course. Like why people would use Java these days? Jesus Christ. Agent, literally one people said your name. That's how many people want you on the stream. Just kidding with you, man. Mike Scott is saying the following. Any language which has generics is for me. My main disappointment about PHP is a lack of generic support. Well, PHPStorm does have a little bit of generics, you know what I mean? Seekos is saying, isn't PHPStorm built on Java? I think it's built on CodeClean at the moment. Oh, now everyone is typing Adrian? Jesus Christ, I don't get this. All right, Adrian, you coming to the live stream. Just tell me the day and I will have you here, okay? Adrian is saying YouTube stop, but that's over, man. You coming. Now you coming. Oh my God, Java decreasing. Let's go. C++. C++ is good, okay? It's not decreasing, but it's kind of going lower. But C++ is cool. C#, sorry. C and C++, kind of the same thing. Dart, exactly the same thing. A lot of people going a little bit higher on Rust, but it's not going higher than 2023. CodeClean the same, Swift the same, Perl the same. Are people using Perl in 2025? Like, what the actual? Why people would be using Perl these days? Perl in 100 seconds. Let's see this. Let's see this, chat. Let's see Perl in 100 seconds, chat. Do I have Safari with sound? Chat, let me know how the sound is, okay? Why I cannot hear anything? What the? Give me a moment, chat. Give me a moment, chat. Why I cannot hear anything? Did I open deeper? I have not opened deeper. Here we go. Why I cannot hear anything? Do I have my headphones on? I do. Like, what the heck? Oh, because of this.
A dynamic interpreted scripting language famous.
Okay, let's see this, chat. Perl in 100 seconds.
Perl, a dynamic interpreted scripting language famous for its powerful text processing abilities. It was developed in 1987 by Larry Wall, a linguist who designed it to feel more like a human
what
language.
What I do remember about Perl is that I actually... Now I'm muted. What do you mean? Press M? Press W? Wait, what? Muted on YouTube? Video muted? What do you mean? Can you guys hear anything? What's up? It's good, right? It's good. So what I do remember about Perl is the following. I remember Perl being actually super cool and similar to PHP back in the days. That's why I liked it so much. You know? That's why I like it so much.
Dynamic interpreted scripting language famous for its powerful text processing abilities. It was developed in 1987 by Larry Wall, a linguist who designed it to feel more like a human language than a computer language. When someone says Perl, they're usually talking about version 5. There was a version 6 under development, but it evolved into another language called Raku. Perl is often referred to as a glue language and has been dubbed the Swiss Army chainsaw of the internet. It's most commonly used to write CGI scripts that allow web servers to communicate with external programs. Its powerful string parsing to write very terse code.
You see, this is what I remember, that, you know, this if condition, for each statements, it was super similar to PHP back in the days. And that's why I liked it so much, you know.
Liners that hack together a solution much quicker than others.
It also felt like a scripting language a little bit, you know. Felt like a scripting language where I could just put my code entirely in one script, which was so similar to PHP.
Scripting languages like Python. It contains a large collection of language primitives and a ton of shortcuts for getting things done quickly. You may find it ugly and awkward, but...
And by the way, I kind of think that the creator of PHP was a Perl developer before that.
System administrators love it because it gets the job done. To get started, install the Perl interpreter, then create a file ending in .pl. It's a scripting language, so we start with a shebang and point it to the interpreter's binary. Declare a variable with a $sign, then print it to the standard output, and the variable can be easily interpreted.
Honestly, I could have coded this right now. This is super PHP, by the way. Like $variable equals to hi mom as a string with a comma thing at the end. This is literally PHP, valid PHP right there. Even this, I think, is valid PHP. Let me do a test real quick. Oh my God, already opening Laravel confidential stuff right here. Jesus Christ. You guys didn't see this project, okay? Okay. So if I type playground.php, I think that's literally valid PHP. Oh? Why would this, you know, suggest that? Jesus Christ. It was print hello. Yeah, this is definitely valid PHP. Here we go. Which is exactly the same, yep. Even this. I could do this again. Yep. This just works. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Perl was, you know, I remember Perl as being actually a very cool language back in the days, you know. Daniel Colburn, how you doing, dude? Nice to see you. Yeah, Perl was super cool. I loved it. I loved it. Namespaces are strange. And PHP was influenced by Perl. I agree. Yeah, that's an internal package we're working on. All right, Objective-C, of course, nobody is using it. Other, which I don't know what it is, and none. Well, none is difficult because even if you are doing Laravel, you're probably using, you know SQL, you know, you kind of know HTML for sure. So none is difficult, okay? I don't think none is actually a good answer here. Application context. Which are the contexts you are using for the Laravel framework? Is a business, a OB? In most of people, 94% of the people who have answered this survey are using Laravel for actually making money, chat. This is actually a very important one. I told you, Laravel is literally for putting food on the table. That's why business people are using Laravel. You know, if you would make, just between us, if you would make a JavaScript survey or a Rust survey and you would put this question, like why or for what are you using Laravel, Rust, and JavaScript at the moment? A lot of people would say, for my personal home page, for my hobby projects, just for fun, because those languages, sometimes businesses do not choose them. Just the reality, chat. Just the reality. Let me know what you think on the chat about this, okay? Grapper Souls is asking if there is any package in Laravel for crypto. Of course not. Of course not. Albert Tecos is saying Go is such a good pairing with PHP. Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying that too. Okay, I've seen a lot of people saying that too. ICN is saying the following: true that personally I earn money with PHP and occasions with a combination with PHP and C++. That's crazy, man. Using C++ with PHP. Team size. How big is the development team typically in your business context? A lot of people, 20% of people working with one developer only. Chat, I'm going to tell you something, okay? It's not actually a good thing being the only developer in your company, okay? And the reason about this is that you don't actually understand how good or the things you need to be good at. You don't understand how can you improve. You are not learning with people better than you. Okay, so being in one-man company or being the only developer in your company, that's not a good thing. Okay, that's not a space I would recommend it to be. So ideally, search a place where you can grow as a developer with other developers, ideally better than you. It's actually a very good thing if you go to a company where you will be, the unexperienced developer, basically. So you can learn with the best. You know what I mean? Learn with the best. 1 to 5 people, 50% of the answers of this chat was people that are in companies with more than between 1 and 5 people. Also, a bunch of them, 20% between 5 and 10%. And then bigger companies apparently are not relying on Laravel. Okay? This is, I don't know if I want to believe on this. I think the reason about this is because there is less companies with more than 20 or more than 50 people, okay? Most of the companies have between 5 and 20 people. Not a lot of companies have 50 people, basically. You know what I mean? Simon is saying the following. No, how many devs do you have in your team? You mean how many devs we have at Laravel? I think we have between 30 and 40, I think. In my team, it's just me and Ashley at the moment. Me, Ashley, and Taylor, actually. Okay, I work on the AI team at Laravel at the moment, and we are just 3. And I love it. I love being in small teams, chat. It's just the best. I move like a train, at full speed. I love it. By the way, write on the chat how many developers you have in your company, okay? How many actual coders you have in your company. Write 5 if you have 5, write 10 if you have 10. Jean Philippe is saying the following. In my opinion, the programming language framework should not be an issue as frameworks such as Laravel are scalable. Oh yeah, baby. Laravel is absolutely super, hyper ready for scale. We have various clients, various reports of people using Laravel at scale. It really just works. So most of the people here, less than 10 people easy. 5, 1, 3, 8, 1. Vilda Bina is saying that he works for a company with 150 developers. That's crazy. That's crazy. John Sugar is saying that Laravel is an OB for me. Do you know what? Even the other day, I was asking on Discord, there is actually a few people that follow my streams, and they are not even developers. They are literally learning about programming at the moment, so they like to come my streams because of that, which is insane. All right, tech stack. Ooh, this one is interesting. Wait, what? 68% of people are running already in PHP 8.4. That's crazy, Shad. This is something we need to pay respect to the PHP developers, Shad. We need to pay respect to the PHP developers. Actually, you need to pay respect to 2 kinds of people. We need to pay respect to the internals of PHP who have made smooth upgrades, okay? Allowing us to literally jump from PHP 8.3 to PHP 8.4 in the very easy way. At the same time, we need to pay respect to the PHP developers in general who like to upgrade their apps and be on the latest in the greatest version of PHP. TDD developer is saying that I had to pause the stream. Oh, dude, just make the question again. I will answer you back. Webster Crowley is saying the following. I'm so happy to see that. I remember seeing how long PHP 5.6 stuck around. So there is a reason why PHP 5.6 stuck for so many time or got stuck for in many teams. And the reason is because actually the upgrade from 5.6 to 7 was a big one. It's probably the biggest one ever, I think. So a lot of people literally got stuck on that version. A little bit similar to the Python 2 and 3 story. Do you guys remember the Python 2, Python 3 story? It was just a nightmare. The language was almost different. And, you know, in between PHP 5.6 and 7 was the same. However, PHP 8.0, 1, PHP 8.2, PHP 8.3, this upgrade was the smoothest upgrade ever. Okay? Alcine is saying that PHP 6 got cancelled. That's correct. PHP 6 got cancelled because people were expecting a selected group of features that actually didn't got completed. So they skipped the entire PHP 6 version and did the PHP 7 version. Okay? Okay. By the way, chat, if you just arrived, my name is Nuno Maduro, PHP and Laravel developer. I love everything I do. So if you enjoy this content, just go all the way down. You guys see this? Go all the way down and subscribe my channel. And also, if you want, put a like on this video. I would really appreciate that, all right? Remember, subscribe my channel. I have YouTube videos pretty much every single day, including this one with the mighty Evan Yu from the Vue.js team. You guys can come here, see videos about Rust, see videos about Next.js, see code reviews, see full applications, kind of see everything, chat. You know, the only thing you have to do is click on the subscribe button. That's it. All right, so again, PHP 8.4, 68% of the people using PHP 8.4, which is absolutely awesome to see this. So obviously there's a decrease between PHP and PHP 8.3, because most of people are migrating towards PHP 8.4.4. What else do we see? We see that is probably, you know, a lot of people have multiple applications. At Laravel, we have various projects that uses different PHP versions, okay? For example, Laravel Cloud is obviously on PHP 8.4, but we may have other projects running PHP 8.3, for example. And thanks to Laravel Forge and Laravel Cloud, we can actually swap versions. It really just works, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. However, if we go all the way down, we see that, for example, PHP 8.0 is almost not being used anymore. Let me see something real quick. PHP 8 release bug fixes. Okay, let's search for this real quick. Let's search for this real quick and see if we can understand when things are EOL. Okay, PHP supported version chat. I'm going to send you the link if you guys want to see this, okay? If you guys want to see this real quick. But what we can see here is that PHP 8.0, for example, not even contains bug fixes anymore. It's literally dead, okay? So if you are running on PHP 8.0 or less, stop using PHP right there, okay? You should literally upgrade to the latest versions, okay? PHP 8.1 and PHP 8.2 still get security updates, but they don't get, you know, let me see. So they get critical security issues fixed only, but they don't get bug fixes, for example. So only the security issues get fixed, nothing else. And of course, PHP 8.3 and PHP 8.4 are the ones with active support, okay? That's what we have today. Oof. It is still about 4 to 5% on running on PHP 7. And oh my God, PHP 5 is a big shit. 4%, meaning that 4 in every 100 people are still using PHP 5. By the way, chat, write on the chat which PHP version are you using at the moment. Write on the chat. I want to see which PHP version are you using at the moment. Okay? I need to understand my audience, okay? I need to understand my audience. So let's read this to see how it goes, okay? So let's see. Undefinitely saying that he's using PHP 8.4, Adrian PHP 8.4, Eamon PHP 8.4, most of you using PHP 8.4. That's interesting, chat. That's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Some of you using PHP 8.3, but everyone using PHP 8.4. That's why I was saying, man, PHP 8.4 is literally an easy upgrade, and we need to clap to the PHP internal team for making such a great job. By the way, chat, important news. important, very, 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 very important news. I reached the PHP Foundation team. As you guys can see on this Twitter, I reached the PHP Foundation team and I told them the following. I would love to have a PHP core language dev on my channel for a quick 30-minute chat just to ask about how they communicate, how the code is structured, maybe do a small pull request. And they answered me back with actually names of people from the PHP core team to come to the channel, okay? But what I really wanted, chat, and this will sound crazy for you, but what I really wanted is like actually travel and record the day of the guy, you know, how does he work, you know, how the day looks like. And if I can maybe like, you know, just stream like a feature with them, me coding a feature. You know, I have all these ideas in mind, but I don't know if this will happen. Anyways, someone of the PHP core team is coming to the channel. Laravel version. Which versions of Laravel are you using for your application? And here we go, Shad. Here we go. 84% of the Laravel developers are running on Laravel 12, which is the latest version. Okay? This is absolutely insane that most of people, and write on the chat, which version are you using? Write on the chat. Most of people are using Laravel 12. This is not a surprise. Again, just like PHP itself, the upgrades in Laravel are easy peasy, like literally 3 minutes of upgrade. It's super easy. And as I can see here on the chat, most of people running on Laravel 12. That's it, chat. That's just the best version, Laravel 12. This is the latest and the greatest. I have various ideas for Laravel 13. Okay. By the way, chat, which features do you would like to see on Laravel 13? I personally would like to see a folder called browser testing. I would love to slim even more the code structure, like the folderings and everything. I still think there is a few folders on Laravel 13 that could be removed literally. But yeah, there is no talks at the moment about Laravel 13. This is just my ideas in my own ad. Okay, just my ideas in my own ad, which typically what happens, the story about Laravel releases, I'm going to tell you, okay? So Taylor literally is the responsible of leading every new major version of Laravel. And typically what Taylor does is that he likes to hear people's opinions on the company, but then he makes the decisions on what exactly is going for Laravel 13, okay? Taylor is the boss, man. Taylor is the boss right there. I can tell you that. But yeah, Laravel 12. Okay, 84% of people, and obviously much of them, or a bunch of them, are coming from Laravel 11. A bunch of them are coming from Laravel 10 too. No surprises there. And still a lot of people using Laravel 6, Laravel 7. That's crazy, man. 12% using Laravel 8. Laravel 7 being used by 5% of people. Oh, the LTC. Do you guys remember this? The LTC version? Oh my God. I can see that the LTC didn't really work out because Laravel 7 is being used more than the Laravel LTC version. Laravel 5, oh my God, and other? What do you mean? Are you using Laravel 4? What do you mean other? What the fuck? Oh my God. Data mapper option on Eloquent, I don't think that will ever happen, man. And thank God that will never happen, honestly. Yeah, more slim is something I would like to see indeed. Lumen maybe. Oh, you mean that a lot of people are using the core of Laravel on Lumen projects? It might be it, chat. It might be it. It might be it. Marek is saying, when will be the next video about code review? I don't know, man. I don't know. We have a lot of videos about code reviews. I may do one soon. I don't know yet, okay? Databases. Oh my God. Which databases are you using for your applications? And I see a decrease in MySQL. This is no surprise. This is no surprise, Chad. This is what happens when you see a lot of these new generation companies betting on Postgres. You literally convince people that Postgres is better. And undeniably, for regular applications, Chad, MySQL works as good as Postgres. However, you see that Postgres just feels more modern these days, okay? You see a lot of features, including vector searching, but also, a lot of these big companies investing on promoting Postgres as a better solution. And here is the result. In 1 year, you convince 10% of the Laravel community that Postgres is better. in 1 year, in just 1 year. This is crazy. You know what is crazy too is that we have the best database driver in the planet also growing. In 2025, chat, 36% of the developers in Laravel are using SQLite or Squeal. And this is not coming out of nowhere. And I bet my opinion the fact that I'm vocal in the Laravel community about SQLite is also making an impact on this. I have told multiple people on Twitter that I use SQLite for various of my projects at the moment, including Pinkery.com is fully running on SQLite for sessions, queue jobs, database drivers, and everything. And I love to see people embracing the simplicity of SQLite. Okay, I think it's a great option as a database driver. And it does not surprise me that Postgres is growing a lot. It does not surprise me. Constantine is saying, I'm sure Laravel Cloud played a role on Postgres. Of course, Laravel Cloud too. Again, big companies are investing on Postgres. And many developers, they don't simply have the choice to choose MySQL when Postgres is just more cheap, basically, in some of these providers, But yeah, SQLite growing as well. MariaDB just staying relevant, not growing up, but also not growing down. MongoDB, same thing. MySQL, Microsoft Server, Jesus Christ. Oracle, of course, Single Store, and others. Okay, chat. This is what we have here, chat. This is what we have here. Dival is saying the following: don't you want to transfer Pinkery to cloud so you can switch to MySQL? Ah, man. Yeah, I do have to transfer Pinkery to MySQL, but that's not the only thing I need to do. I need to also move the upload pictures from literally the art disk on 4 DigitalOcean Droplet to an S3 place, okay? InSPWay is asking how SQLite is used on horizontal scaling. It's not used. Typically people who use SQLite, they just like the fact that they are running their applications on the single server and they can simply enjoy the copy pasting for backups. They can literally have this single file with all the data. That's it. George is saying, I cannot wait for Laravel to embrace DuckDB. What is even DuckDB, dude? Oh my God, Microsoft SQL Server. All my old company have 4 variants of true and false in the database. What do you mean 4 variants of true? True is either true and false is just false too. Like, what the heck are you even saying? I don't get it. By the way, chat, if you enjoy what I'm doing at the moment, please put like on this video, but also subscribe my channel. Always creating content. So if you enjoyed this, just go all the way down and subscribe my channel. What is your thoughts on ClickHouse? I have never used it, so I have no idea. Frontend. Ooh. Frontend UI libraries. Are you using any frontend UI library to speed up your development? I think everyone is. Of course, 90% of the people are using Tailwind CSS. Does this mean that the remaining of those 100% are using, probably are using just APIs or using regular CSS, which is crazy. I don't see a reason why you would do that. I don't know what you guys think. I'm using Tailwind all the time. Okay. Which framework of CSS do you guys use? None? Or do you guys use something else like Bootstrap, Tailwind? I use Tailwind all the time. I love it. Yeah, I love Tailwind. Tailwind is awesome, Also developed by Wedam, a community member of the Laravel community too. Okay. 20% building their own framework themselves. Jeannie Philippe is saying that he uses Bootstrap and Tailwind for Laravel. Yeah, a lot of people are using Tailwind. That does not surprise me. Tailwind is good indeed, man. Tailwind is good. Bootstrap is still alive, is asking Vildem. It is still alive. A lot of people use Bootstrap. Honestly. It's still good, honestly, I think, for example, back in the days when you changed from jQuery to Vue, you changed it because jQuery was indeed bad. You didn't keep the state in sync, so you'd have to update the DOM all the time. You didn't have, models or whatever, so you changed it. You changed for better, which is Vue, React, or Angular at the time. However, with CSS, when, back in the days, when people moved from Bootstrap to Tailwind CSS, Bootstrap was still good. It felt good. I enjoyed Bootstrap. I was very productive with Bootstrap in general. But Tailwind offered a little bit more customization, and that's just the reality. Tailwind, allows you to build these custom UIs and make them really unique. And that's why people choose Tailwind CSS. Okay. Front-end rendering. How is the view rendered? Data paste or routing done? So the question here really is, what are you using to build your front ends, basically? Are you using server-side rendering with Livewire and Blade? Are you using potentially Vue on the front end and Laravel just as an API? Or are you using Inertia, which is this protocol to communicate between Vue, React in your Laravel app? And let's see what we have here. This will be interesting. So we see a stabilization on Livewire. So Livewire, the people who were using Livewire in the past are still the same people who are using Livewire today. And, all good, easy peasy. We see a lot of people, we see a small decrease on people that are using just API and JavaScript front ends. And I think the reason is because of Inertia, of course. Inertia is growing because people actually want to use React and Vue on the front end, okay? Although, looking at this, something interesting is that Blade and Livewire are still more popular than React on the front end. This is not a surprise, actually. It's kind of expected because undeniably Blade in Livewire is just easy to use. Okay. By the way, write on the chat which front end framework are you using at the moment. Are you using Livewire? Are you using Inertia? Are you using Vue, React? Just write on the chat. And I feel like it's not a surprise that Blade and Livewire are so popular because it's so easy to type, to write applications with it. This app right here, call it pinkery.com. I wrote this app in like 2 days. I wrote this app in 2 days, and the reason it's because it's so easy to do Blade and Livewire, honestly. I just move so fast, and now with AI, it's even faster. It's crazy. So most of the people on, why YouTube and Twitch are always this, it's crazy. So a lot of people on YouTube saying Livewire, 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 and then I go to Twitch, and I see Alpine.js, Inertia with React, Inertia with Vue. It's crazy. Crazy. Andrea Santos using Vue and React too. I don't know, chat. I think we have great solutions today. I think this solution is bad. I don't like this solution, okay? So I like Inertia, and I like Livewire. I think here, unless you like suffering, this is just a pain in the ass to maintain, okay? Literally using fetch, using Axios on your front end to fetch data from the API, if you want to maintain a state of the app like that on the front end, is just a pain. These are the best solutions, Blade and Inertia. Livewire or Inertia, basically. Front-end reactivity, so this is actually the story behind, are you using Livewire, Vue, Alpine, and of course, Vue.js is still so popular, but decreasing, chat. Poor React, of course, is gaining a little bit here. So, I think this decrease on Vue is due to the fact that React is growing. And this is like, sometimes people don't choose it. It's just because the market today, they want more React people. All this Vercel, Next, all this generation that comes from 2020s are literally convincing the entire market that React is the only thing you should be using at the moment. And you can see that already on these stats with Vue decreasing a little bit. Okay? Interestingly, something really interesting is that Livewire and Alpine, they are growing. You can see this? So here we go. Livewire is literally growing right here, and same goes with Alpine.js. That's crazy. Jax Nicholsono is saying that most React devs use Node.js, in my opinion. Interesting. Knockout.js, let's go. Alpine is being more used in React on Laravel. Indeed. jQuery is still wrong. What do you mean? Oh my God. 25% of the Laravel developers are using jQuery. Why? Like, why would you use jQuery in 2025? Literally. Probably legacy applications, honestly. Here we go. Vanilla DOM modifications. Jesus Christ. This is even worse than jQuery. People literally using just vanilla JavaScript to access the DOM and change things. AngularJS, of course, not popular. Svelte, not popular. Hotwire, not popular. And we have other choices which are not listed here. But yeah, basically, you know, we see a lot of people super into Livewire, and that feels good to see, okay? All right, for CSS, Tailwind CSS, super popular in 2025, of course. Vanilla CSS kind of remains stable in about 29%. I don't even know what this is. Well, I do know, but it's been like fucking 10 years since the last time I used this. Last CSS, other, and yeah. Pretty much everyone using Tailwind CSS at this point with 82%. I think the story about Tailwind is even more interesting than this, is that not only everyone here is using Tailwind, but also like super big companies, they are using Tailwind CSS at the moment. Like GitHub is using Tailwind CSS. It is a likelihood that you go to apple.com or whatever and they are using Tailwind CSS. You see, even I think OpenAI was using Tailwind CSS. A lot of these big companies, they are just investing a bunch on Tailwind CSS. Comes from Tailwind CSS being good, but also Next.js comes with Tailwind CSS by default. So, you know, those are big things or big reasons why people are literally investing so much in Tailwind CSS. Administration panel chat. Okay, let's see this one. So basically, here we get to see if people are going or opting for filament, and we see an increase on filament about 4%. I would expect to see more on filament. What do you think about this, chat? Which admin panel are you using at the moment, chat? Are you using Filament, Laravel Nova, or you are using Backpack? And we see a small increase on Filament. I'm going to be honest with you, I thought this increase would be a little bit higher than this. You know, chat. That I literally thought that this increase would be a little bit higher. We see a small decrease on Nova. Expected. Nova is a paid product. Filament is free. The community is much bigger on Filament at the moment. And I think kind of Filament just won the war at the moment, you know. People love Filament. I like Filament too, to be honest. So great project right there. And we see a bunch of no's, or a bunch of nones, which is exactly what we see here. Okay, 50% of Laravel apps do not need a backend on Filament or Nova. Okay. Yeah, Filament is awesome. You know, we have a bunch of content on the channel about Filament, and I love it too. We are diving to a new section, chat. So far we have seen developer profile, we have seen tech stack, and now we are jumping into development. Okay. Oh my God, I'm seeing I'm seeing a few names here right now. So, which development environment are you using at the moment? Are you using Herd? Are you using Laravel Valet? Are you using local web server? Oh, PHP Artisan, basically. WAMP or Shump? So, I have used... So, when I was starting with development, you know, talking about 12 years ago, probably, I was using this thing, Shump. And Shump, if I remember correctly, was the way that I had to have PHP MySQL on my macOS. And then, for the biggest period of my life, I have used Laravel Valet. Okay, Laravel Valet. And now I'm using Herd. And Herd is absolutely awesome. That's what I think. Herd is absolutely awesome these days. I love Herd, and it's such a great piece of software. And let's see what we have here. So a lot of these people are using this kind of local providers, okay, Laravel Valet, Herd, 63%, but we see 43% using Docker, okay, and Docker is kind of difficult to convince Docker people why you don't use Docker, because a lot of these Docker people, they simply do not understand why we are not using Docker. And the reason why I don't use Docker is because I found Docker complicated. I'm going to be honest, man. I find Docker complicated. Yeah. I find Docker slow too, you know. It just feels better to use Herd at the moment. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Oh? What do you mean FTP? Which PHP development environments do you use for development? How would I use FTP for development? This is simply not possible. How would I use FTP for PHP development? I'm so confused. So confused, chat. I'm so confused. And of course, still people, about 4% using Laravel, Olmsted, and Vagrant. This was the GOAT back in the days, of course. I'm not using this anymore, for sure. You just have the code on the remote computer. Or you just edit files directly on the server. Oh my God. Such a cool thing to do. Literally go through FTP to a server and change the files. I have a friend actually, which I won't tell you who literally still edits files on FTP. But I won't tell you who. Debugging approach. Oh my God. 88% of people on the PHP world, they use DD. Oh my God. Oh my God. So good. So good. We need to tweet this. We need to tweet this, chat. I love it so much, honestly. Oh my God. One moment, chat. This is it's just good news, chat. Honestly, just good news that 80 like nearly 90% of the Laravel developers are using DD. 90% of the Laravel developers are using DD for debugging. Honestly, such a good news. Should I tweet this? Oh my God. I want to tweet this so bad. It feels good to read this. Oh, yeah. Let's tweet it. Let's tweet chat. Let's tweet this. Why not? Here we go, chat. DD becomes history. Oh yeah, baby. Everyone loves DD at this point. Like 90% of people are using DD. I love it. Love it. All right, let's see. Other people are using too things like Laravel Debug Bar, which is very cool, by the way. Laravel Debug Bar. Oh yeah, chat. Laravel Debug Bar. Okay. Laravel Telescope. I don't use Laravel Telescope anymore. Does anyone use Laravel Telescope these days? I don't use Laravel Telescope anymore. Write on the chat if you use Laravel Telescope. I don't use it. Nah. I kind of go with DD. I go with Laravel Debug Bar at the moment. And I use Xdebug not for debug, but for coverage. Okay. You guys use Telescope? Okay. Okay. But yeah, 30% of the Laravel developers are using Xdebug too. Okay. Okay. By the way, chat, if you enjoy this content, please go all the way down, like this stream, and just, subscribe to the channel, write the comment below, just do all those cool things that make the YouTube algorithm very good. Okay, chat? But yeah, 30% using Xdebug, no surprise there. I would expect more people to use Xdebug, to be honest, but 30% is also a big number, meaning that 1 on every 3 Laravel developers is using Xdebug. However, DD is being used by everyone almost. Okay. Ray is also very good indeed. By the way, Shad, a few people have asked me to do a live stream about the Lara Dumps project. Does anyone knows what Lara Dumps is, and if it's something worth to do a live stream about? What do you guys think? Yeah, I see some of you speaking about Lara Dumps. Let me know if you think that I should just do a live stream about that, because I may be able to do. If it's worth, I don't even know what Laravel dumps is or whatever. Oh, here we go. Okay, let's read this real quick. Laravel dumps is a powerful debugging for PHP and Laravel. Oh, so it's like Ray? Oh, it's like free Ray. Interesting. Okay. Well, I may do a live stream about that. Indeed. Quality insurance. Ooh. Okay, Shad. Okay. Here we are going to know. Shad. Okay. It's the moment of truth. Which PHP testing framework are you using in 2025? Are you using PHP Unit or you are using Pest PHP? Now we are going to know. Okay, we are going to know. I want to see. Regardless, we have 70% of people using one of both, which is good. Okay, meaning that 2 out of 3 Laravel developers are using testing. Okay. But still, the number is increasing, which I'm happy about that. The number is increasing. Okay, let's read the chat. Do I have the ban button right here? No, just kidding. Just kidding, chat. We see Pest PHP Unit, Pest PHP Unit, Pest. A lot of people using Pest, which feels good to see, but also a lot of people using PHP Unit. By the way, PHP Unit will give you what Pest would. However, if you want to know exactly what changes between Pest PHP and PHP Unit, it's quite simple. Okay? It's quite simple. If you go all the way down, you see that Pest PHP offers you a couple more features that PHP Unit doesn't offer, including browser testing, architectural testing, a small, very nice syntax that you don't have to type the full namespace, class name, and everything like that. So it is snapshot testing. There is various features that do not exist on PHP Unit, and you just get them with Pest PHP. Regardless, the most important thing in the planet is that you guys are testing your PHP applications, okay? If you're using PHP Unit for that, it's fine. It's absolutely fine, okay? Regardless, I think like if you try Pest, you will enjoy it more. This is just my opinion. But if you are using PHP Unit and you like it too, it's fine, okay? Both great projects. We are lucky on the PHP world to have these two. Let's go all the way down. How many people are using Laravel Pint, PHP CS Fixer, and PHP Code Sniffer? Interesting. So we have about the same number. Which one are you using at the moment? Are you using Laravel Pint? Are you using PHP CS Fixer? Or are you using PHP Code Sniffer? Yeah, on this one, it's kind of difficult not to choose Pint, because Pint really literally just works. Yeah, many of you, if not everyone, saying Pint at the moment. Agent is saying Pint and Mago at the moment. And we have one guy, Undefnull, saying that uses PHP CS Fixer. Yeah, Pint is PHP CS Fixer, but just opinionated. That's it. You just get everything by all the styling by default. You don't have to configure it or whatever. You just require it, and you run Pint, and it just works. One cool thing about Pint is that if you type Composer Update, you might get a new Pint version with style differences, basically, that we think are good in Laravel. That's it. Static analysis, PHP Stan, of course. Many of the users of PHP Stan use PHP Stan on Laravel with LaraStan, which is also a project of mine. PHP Stan is awesome. Between PHP Stan, Psalm, Fan, and PHP Inspection, which one are you using at the moment? I think for Laravel development, it's undeniably better to use PHP Stan with LaraStan, because otherwise, I don't think Psalm is able to understand Laravel. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. Yeah, PHP Stan. Yeah, I know. Robin is saying that he uses the PSR 12 on Pint. Yeah, we also have that. It's interesting. Yeah, Psalm is not really there for Laravel at the moment. So I think Psalm is good, but just not for Laravel. Because Laravel is a lot of magic, and unless you have something like LaraStan, it's literally impossible. Literally impossible, you know what I mean? Code quality analysis. Dude, I have no idea how people are still using PHP Insights in 2025. So I created PHP Insights literally 6 years ago. As you can see here, 6 years ago. I don't use it. I don't think I have used this project for the last 5 years. So I use it for the, for the very first year only. And I go here and I see fucking 10 million downloads. 10 million downloads. Okay? 10 million downloads, which is absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy, chat. By the way, chat, I'm also on Kick.com. I don't know if you guys know what is Kick, but Kick is this streaming platform just like Twitch. And if you guys have an account there, I would really appreciate if you guys could give me a follow on Kick. Okay, Kick is just like Twitch at the moment, literally just like Twitch. The only difference is that in case you guys do donations, Kick literally almost sends everything to me. In Twitch, for example, takes 50%, which is crazy. I'm definitely saying that Kick is for gambling. Not only, I mean, there is gambling over there, but on Twitch it is gambling too. There's gambling everywhere, unfortunately. Okay. Alpha Dorax Nuktus is saying, does someone uses Rove Security Advisors? I don't use that. We probably should review that project here on stream. If it's good, if it's good. We should definitely do that, okay? Okay, let's see something else. Oh, source code hosting. We see an increase on GitHub, but we still see people using GitLab and Bitbucket. I don't get this. Like, why would you use these two? Chat, write what are you using at the moment in terms of hosting, for code hosting. I'm using GitHub for everything, okay? Just GitHub for everything. And something that I do know is that at Laravel, we basically had to implement the GitHub API, the GitLab API, the Bitbucket API for Laravel Cloud. And these two APIs are a fucking nightmare. It's just the worst thing in the planet, okay? The GitHub API is not really that better, but it's better, at least. Ooh, interesting. Someone using GitLab self-hosted. That's crazy, chat. Bitbucket just looks clean. Not their API, though. Not their API, I can tell you that. The API of Bitbucket is a fucking nightmare, chat. Just horrible, So we see people shifting towards GitHub, apparently. So GitHub have become a little bit better over time. And it's undeniably, people are moving there more and more. GitLab is decreasing. Bitbucket is decreasing. Self-host repositories is kind of coming, stable on this 11%. There is a lot of people, a lot of companies who have to use self-hosted versions, okay? Because of legal concerns, they cannot have their code online, okay? So basically, that's why they use self-hosted repositories. Okay, here we go, exactly. Simon Z on YouTube is saying the following. GitLab self-hosted for government projects. Of course, a government project, probably a very important thing. It cannot be simply online. Okay. Tortoise S. I know that name from somewhere. I don't remember what, but I do know that name. Production. Here we go, chat. We are jumping to a new section. Production. This I'm actually super interesting to know. When do you guys deploy? Okay, I'm going to tell you my story. I'm going to make the question and then I'm going to tell my story. Do you guys deploy almost daily? Do you deploy a few times a week? Do you deploy a few times a month, or just a few times in a quarter, or never? Okay. At Laravel Cloud, when I was on that team, we deployed almost every single day, multiple times a day. We would deploy on the morning, we would deploy on the afternoon. Every time we had to change it, literally, we just deploy it every single time. And I feel like if you go down this path of having a very good pipeline with very good testing, with very good browser testing, with a bunch of checks in place, and you can make this automatically, just deploy like this, bam, 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 boom, go through the CI and just deploy, it really is good. It really just works, Chad. Let's see what the chat has to say about this. I'm definitely saying that deploys whatever he wants. Stephen O'Bird says on demand a few times a week. A few people saying that. Ooh, Quitscope is saying twice a week. which is interesting. So I kind of like to deploy all the time, but I do get why do you have that fixed schedule. Adrian saying that all 2 weeks release between 5 and 10 odd fixes. Oh no. Belky is saying every week dual company policy. Interesting. So we see like a mix basically here. What do we see here on these stats here? We see that only 30% of the people deploy almost daily. Most of them deploy a few times a week. And then we go back to the 20% with a few times a month. This starts to be scary to me, you know. This is scary that you deploy only a few times a month. And a few times a quarter is even more scary, and rarely it's super scary. Because if you deploy rarely, you'll have to ship all the updates of your dependencies and everything like that on that same release. That's just so scary. And of course, yeah, just like Chris is saying, also depends on what the deployment contains. I'm going to give you an example. Something like Laravel Cloud, it has like big changes every single time on deployments. But maybe like my own blog has like a typo fix or whatever that I can deploy once every month. So it will kind of depend about that, okay? PHP runtime, this is interesting, okay? So how do you guys run your applications? Do you use Etzner, DigitalOcean, Linode, something else? Do you use shared hosting? Please don't do that. Are you using platform as a service, something like Laravel Cloud? Or you use serverless, something like Laravel Vapor? Write on the chat which thing are you using at the moment. I'm going to tell you what I'm using. I'm using DigitalOcean. Hardcore fan of DigitalOcean, okay? I'm a hardcore fan of DigitalOcean. You guys may say, which exactly what I'm reading, a lot of people here are using Etzner, okay? A lot of people are using Etzner. However, I can tell you that DigitalOcean, EF worked for me all my life, okay? However, I'm using DigitalOcean, but what I've been using recently is Laravel Cloud. Now, I'm biased, you know? I'm biased, of course, because I have literally built Laravel Cloud together with the team. But Laravel Cloud is actually very good in the sense that it's actually super cool to be able to just have leverage that push to deploy, that level of auto scale. You know, it's easy to put in place and to ship a new project. You don't have to, you know, create a new server or whatever. You can just literally go there, new app, bam, bam, boom, 30 seconds and done. So I really enjoy Laravel Cloud, of course. Hashtag disclaimer. Being German, I have to stick with Etzner. Why is that? Inspayo is saying that I have migrated all my projects to Laravel Cloud recently. Me too, actually. So I migrated everything I had on DigitalOcean to Laravel Cloud, and I have only one project in DigitalOcean at the moment because it's running on Rust. And that's it. And it's running on Rust, so I have to, you know, there is no Rust support on Cloud at the moment. Simon Z is saying because shared hosting is cheap. But it's shared hosting, right? I don't even know. I don't think I have ever used that, by the way. Just because of the concept, right? I don't have any problem with AWS. Actually, I do think AWS is also good in terms of... The only thing that sucks on AWS is their dashboard. Dudes, AWS UI is probably one of the worst things in the planet. You know, the dashboard is so bad, honestly. Nothing works. Just so bad, chat. By the way, chat, if you're enjoying today's live stream, please go all the way down, subscribe and like this channel. Do not forget about that, all right, chat? Do not forget about that. And today we're also live on Kick. So if you guys enjoy streaming on Kick, if you want a more quiet platform to see my streams, please go to Kick and subscribe my channel. If you have an account there, I would really appreciate that, all right? Let's jump now into a very important topic, monitoring. So how exactly do you monitor your PHP applications in production? And I think, I'm going to be honest, monitoring PHP applications in production is something a little bit new to the PHP space, meaning that a lot of people didn't use anything in the past. What we are seeing now is new platforms coming to the scene, things like Flare, Nightwatch, also Sentry, of course. I'm using Nightwatch. Nightwatch is just so good. Jesus fucking Christ. Nightwatch is probably, it was one of my biggest surprises in the Laravel ecosystem for a while. I was kind of predicting how cloud would be, but Nightwatch, this has so many insights. It's absolutely crazy. So I'm using Nightwatch at the moment. I'm using Nightwatch on Pinkery. PestPHP.com is a Nightwatch too. But yeah, if I wasn't using Nightwatch, I probably would have been using Sentry. Yeah, Sentry. So I'm going to tell you my story about Sentry. I think Sentry is good. The only problem about Sentry is that once you see the level of insights you get from Nightwatch, you are not going back. Because Nightwatch gives you, for example, many of you are saying Laravel.log or Sentry, but Sentry really gives you like logs basically, and a grouped way of using logs. In Nightwatch, it gives you like so good insights about your app, so good insights. Gives you so good insights about your app. You get to see like which endpoint is the slowest. You get to see which query is performed the most, which query is consuming your database. You get to see so many stuff. That's why I'm using Nightwatch, okay? And I can see that we don't get to see which exactly product is used the most, but we get to see that is definitely an increase on people using this kind of services, okay? Which is good, which is very, 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 very good. Oof. Okay. We are getting into a sensitive topic here, Chad. Very, very sensitive topic, okay? We are going into opinions, okay? Opinions about the direction of Laravel, okay? Before we jump into that, before we do that, please go all the way down and subscribe this channel, okay? That's the first thing we need to do, okay? Once you do that, once you subscribe this channel, we are going to talk about the direction of Laravel. Let's see what the community has to say about this, okay? Is the Laravel framework moving in the right direction? So this is the Laravel framework, not the company, but the framework itself, the actual framework. And before we understand this result, it's important to understand that most people, if not everyone, most people, if not everyone, so basically these two results combined make like 90% of the results. So 9 out of 10 people agree that Laravel is going in the correct direction. So that's a positive thing, okay? That's a positive thing. However, we do see a decrease of 7% on the strongly agree. Maybe the reason behind this, and I may actually be incorrect here, maybe the reason behind this, it's because in the past, we probably, on the year 25, let's just talk about the year 25. On the last 12 months, we probably saw a lot of open source, before that, in 2024, we probably see a lot of open source work being shipped. And now in 2025, you still see a lot of open source work being shipped, but maybe because it is products too, you get the feeling that probably Laravel is not going very strongly in the right direction. But the reality is that we are shipping more than ever. We are shipping better than ever. So we see actually, Laravel coming with great features. We see open source packages that are actually super useful. Big changes on Inertia, for example. Inertia is actually super great at the moment. Inertia v2, but also Inertia in general is getting updates every single time. We see a lot of work being done on the AI space, for example. Laravel Boost is just absolutely awesome. But maybe because we are getting also commercial products coming more, like Cloud and Nightwatch, maybe that gets people's feelings into the sense that maybe Laravel is not going in the correct direction. If the only thing you would see would be commercial products, I'll probably agree with you. But the reality is that you get to see commercial products which are very good, and at the same time, you still see open source being super strong. It's a super strong investment in the company. And one example is actually my moving to the AI space. I literally just moved from cloud to the AI team to deliver you great things on the AI space, fully open source, okay? But what do you guys think in general? Write on the chat. And we see a lot of agree strongly. We also see Marek saying the following: Laravel is growing amazingly in the last 3 years. Inspiway is saying the following: I have marked agree because I was not sure if I was aware of everything that is going on. So much stuff. Dude, that's an important thing too. That's an important thing too. The fact that we are releasing so much, we are putting so much stuff outside, people literally lost the track of it at some point because we had like fucking 12 releases at Laracon US and people don't understand it that much, where things are going, so they just type agree instead of strongly agree. In the past, for example, you would see like, in 2022, you would see Telescope is coming out and maybe this package that does this and that. So it was super clear for you and probably would type strongly agree on that one. But this year we have so many things coming out and you probably don't have the time to understand everything, meaning that you don't necessarily strongly agree, but you do agree that things look good, basically, okay? Jurgen is saying the following, donating 55 TRY, which I don't know that currency. Thank you so much, though. The topics you are touching are inspiring. Thank you, dude. Appreciate the donation on YouTube. I really appreciate that. You are absolutely awesome. Let's see what we have here on Twitch. John Sugar is saying the following: I think because VC founding, some people find Laravel sold out. Well, and that's a little, I do understand why the VC founding would have an impact on these results. That's probably the biggest thing now that I'm thinking is that people see VC investing. Therefore, I don't necessarily strongly agree, but I do agree with things in general. Okay. They also get confused with the term company with a lot of people, so there's a lot of things to think about, of course. Stephen Hubert is saying the following: the focus on Laravel Cloud, the state of UI kits, and things like that WorkOS for auth and kicking Jetstream, I think they are the reason. Okay, the reason why you would agree but not strongly agree. Okay, I feel you. Canada Rise is saying the following: yeah, I think people are afraid that they will need to pay for the products very soon, and that's not the case. Of course, we keep shipping things on open source. Laravel is still free, and everything will still be free for the next couple of years, of course. And my opinion is that Laravel is moving better and faster than ever. Thank God, honestly, this change happened because I feel like Laravel really needed this. The people needed this, honestly. Everyone needed this change to actually take Laravel to the masses. I think like something we cannot forget is that these other languages, these other ecosystems, they are investing in the sense that you literally see they are reaching the masses, they are reaching the kids with better products, with better, with better tutorials, with better resources. And we needed this too on the Laravel ecosystem so we can reach the masses too, to show how good PHP and Laravel can be for building products and for building companies. So I agree strongly on the Laravel direction at the moment, and I truly believe on it. I believe on Tom, which is the president of Laravel. I believe on Taylor Otwell, of course. I always believed on that dude, and I love the people I'm working on at the moment. I love them. Okay, I love them. Let's see one last one. Stephen O'Bird is saying the following: I'm satisfied with Laravel framework in the package economy, and I'm also happy that I'm not forced to pay products. Of course, yeah. So in general, we see 90% of the people agreeing with the Laravel direction, which is absolutely good. Let's see. Laravel simplifies building. What is this? Did I activate the filter? I didn't want to do this. Yeah, Laravel simplifies building web applications. This is like a strongly agree for most of the people, agree with the remaining of the people, a neutral, of course, and a disagree, almost none. Do we enjoy working with Laravel? A stable 70% of people strongly agree, 20% of people do agree only, and the remaining of the people, almost none, disagrees on that. Innovation speed. Here we go. This is what we talked about. Laravel ecosystem is moving fast, or for some people, maybe too fast. For some people, maybe too fast. But we do see innovation, and I think in general that's a good thing. Most of people agree. We do also see a neutral opinion. And for some people, they actually would like to go even faster, which is crazy, which is absolutely crazy. And that's it. This was the state of Laravel in 2025. Again, let's clap for everyone who have filled this form, but also let's clap for Tobias Petri for building this state of Laravel to us. I really appreciate you bringing this content. By the way, I'm going to send you his tweet so you guys can give him a follow. He's super into Laravel stuff and database stuff, by the way. So I'm going to follow the dude. Here we go. Me talking about Tobias Petri and telling you to follow him, and apparently I didn't follow him yet, which is not a good thing, Nuno. No good, Nuno. No good. By the way, chat, what do I have to say? So we are going to be back next Friday. New YouTube video coming out either tomorrow or Friday at lunchtime. Probably Friday at lunchtime, new YouTube video. And if you guys haven't followed my YouTube channel already, just do that immediately, okay? Just do that immediately. Why I'm opening LinkedIn? Like, what the actual... Here we go. Here we go. Just give me a follow on YouTube if you can. I would really appreciate that. And that's it for today. Okay, that's it for today. This was the state of Laravel. I hope everyone had fun. Let's rate someone on Twitch as usual. So if you guys don't know, every single time I end a live stream, what I do is that I rate someone on Twitch, meaning sending all my viewership to a different channel. So let's select someone. Chest recording is not yet coming for Pest v4. Guillermo is saying, thanks for another great stream, Nuno. Oh, thank you so much for taking the time to say that. Hey, Taylor2 on Kick, how you doing? Nice to see you, dude. So we have Maya online, of course. We are always rating Maya. We need to rate someone else. Def Mute, ooh, he's using... I don't know if he's doing PHP today. He might be. Let's raid... Let's raid iShowSpeed. Do you guys know iShowSpeed? It's probably my favorite streamer in the world at the moment. I actually love his content. It's not programming related, but let's rate him so you guys can see who is iShowSpeed. Chat, he is one of my favorite streamers, by the way. I love his energy. You know, I love his energy, and he's literally doing like a 30-day streak on streaming, which is absolutely crazy. Chat, I love you all. I love you all. Catch you guys next Friday. That being said, love you all. Peace out.